Hello everyone, Ace here, and today I've got yet something else ridiculous that I have to share with you all regarding the news. Before we begin though, I have to point out that, as some of you may already know, I not only do gaming videos, but I also do historical videos from time to time, as I am in fact a history buff, and in particular a history buff of World War I. So you can imagine the kind of utter annoyance I might have if, say, a news journalist were to, say, misrepresent a historical documentary to, say, push a political agenda. And on that subject, this is an article from Variety made by Owen Gleiberman titled, "Peter Jackson's They Shall Not Grow Old is a World War I movie for the Trump era." Yes, that's right, they actually did it. They are actually trying to suggest that They Shall Not Grow Old is actually an anti-Trump film. Let alone the fact that the entire film is in fact a documentary made exclusively of footage that is well over 100 years old, with the only narration in this film coming from veterans that were interviewed in the 1960s. And to top it all off, Peter Jackson began this project in 2014, 2 years before Trump was even elected, which meant that according to this article, he would have had to completely change the message of his film halfway through. Now, to the author's credit, I will say that a considerable amount of this article is in fact simply a review of the film. Had it been exclusively that, I would have been perfectly fine with it and I would not be making this video in return. However, with the very last paragraph, this particular journalist simply could not resist forcefully putting politics into his little article. Allow me to read this last paragraph in full. "Jackson has done a brilliant job of bringing all this to life. When we see footage of landmine explosions from a century ago, now shown at proper speed with accompanying sound, they look as epically scary as nuclear blast. Apocalypse then, apocalypse now. Yet, as much as They Shall Not Grow Old honors the courage of the soldiers who walked open-eyed into the snake pit of machine death, the message of the movie, to the extent it has one, is that this has happened before, and it could happen again. Our key world leaders are now authoritarians out of central casting, and that includes the leader of the free world, who's explicit about the fact that he no longer stands for freedom. He stands for saber-rattling, delusions of grandeur, and the violent hatred of outsiders, the very cocktail of war. That his darker impulses will stay submerged is by no means foregone. But the best way to rein them in is for the rest of us to never forget what war is. They Shall Not Grow Old is an annihilating testament to what has always been." So yes, in case there was any doubt at all, this journalist is indeed trying to make this movie about Trump. A movie that, like I said, is made exclusively of footage that predates Trump by decades, is narrated exclusively by interviews from soldiers in the 1960s, and was first being made as early as 2014 before Trump was even president. To suggest the film has anything to do at all with the current administration is sheer insanity. And for the record, the whole point of the movie is to show what the men that were actually there had to go through, and how relatable they were, and how human they were at their core. Something that tends to get lost in translation when the most that a typical person will usually see is dusty old photographs or images from an old history book. In fact, it seems to me like Peter Jackson went out of his way to avoid talking about politics or the bigger scale because that's not what was important to this particular film. It was about the experiences that the average British soldier had while on the front lines. The fact that Mr. Gleiberman thought it was a good idea to bring Trump or modern politics into this film shows that the whole point of it has completely flown over his head. And this is yet another great example of why you do not try to force politics into things where it does not belong. I'm sick of it when it happens in gaming, and I'm especially disgusted at it happening to try to subvert history itself. I'm sorry if this turned into a bit of a rant, but what else can I really say about this? For those of you who want to read the full article, I will of course be providing a link to both the archive as well as the original if you intend to read it. And in any case, this has been Ace. Hope to see you guys again soon. Take care. Ace out.